Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we're visiting right now with Ryan Hundt, the CEO of the Michigan Works Association, based in Lansing, Michigan. And Ryan, big deal. I mean, you're basically an advocacy group, and of course, that makes your Christmas Advocacy Day, and you just had your association's legislative day. Let's talk a little bit about that and what takes place.
Sure. We had a great legislative day last week in Lansing. Chris, thank you again for your contributions and being part of that process. We had mostly our board members and staff from the Michigan Works Network across the state. All regions of the state were well represented, from Metro Detroit to West Michigan, all the way on up through the Upper Peninsula. We had meetings with 79 lawmakers that took place last Wednesday throughout the day to encourage them to continue supporting our workforce development efforts statewide, especially some of the unique programs and initiatives that the Michigan Works Network continues to advocate for and administer on an annual basis in support of our collective workforce development goals.
Well, and I don't know how most people who partake of this feel about it. I in particular enjoy it, and the reason is, for me, it's kind of seeing old friends who are our legislators now, in many cases, and in other cases, it's really making new friends and learning about them as well. And it's that kind of personal relationship that makes a lot of this stuff work.
Agreed. Many new friends this year in Lansing, especially. We have over 50 new lawmakers, as you know, Chris. So yes, it's seeing old friends, but also developing those new relationships. And we don't want this work to stop just on legislative day. One thing we continue to encourage our Michigan Works members to do is host lawmakers, especially those that are new to the scene in Lansing. They may not have ever stepped foot in a local Michigan Works office before. So developing and maintaining those relationships the other 364 days of the year is just as important as bringing the entire group collectively together on the one day in Lansing for legislative day each year.
So let's talk about the legislative priorities that Michigan Works is looking at and what we presented to them.
Sure. We are really focused on programs and initiatives that are in support of 4 key impact areas. Those impact areas being skills development, equitable access to resources, which of course is so critical right now. We have a number of businesses and individuals who are struggling to make ends meet. And they are having a difficult time navigating that complex pathway to finding a sustainable job or sustainable employment right there in their own communities. So skills development, equitable access to resources is certainly a key priority for us as well. The other 2 impact areas that we're focused on, and we feel very strongly our programs are geared towards, would be labor force participation. Right now in Michigan, we have a lower than average labor force participation rate compared to the U.S. average, and that number has been dropping over the past couple of decades after reaching a height in the early 2000s. And then the 4th critical area that we're focused on, that our programs are focused on, is around increased wages. So when we talk about programs like the Going Pro Talent Fund, that hits all 4 of those impact areas. We also have some new initiatives that we are proposing as well that are geared more towards short-term skills and credentials. The Michigan Skills Fund is one piece that was included in our Workforce Coalition letter that was put together at the end of January and delivered to the governor's office and members of the legislature, that would focus and hone in on how can we get more people into short-term credentials to help solve some of the immediate labor market needs that many of our private sector employers are currently facing right now.
It's interesting because in my day, and I saw a number of legislators, I ran into no opposition to the things that we were proposing. And I know people are out there saying, oh, yeah, well, politicians, they tell you what they think works to your face. But I sincerely feel they were behind this stuff. What are the next steps in this case for the association to continue to get that message out on those key priorities?
As I mentioned, the work does not stop just on legislative day. We are encouraging our Michigan Works members to reach out to their lawmakers, bring them into their facilities, into their Michigan Works service centers, get them engaged in the community, and really tell those transformational, impactful stories that are taking place each and every day as businesses are accessing programs and initiatives, as residents are accessing programs and initiatives. There's really unique stories that we can tell across the Michigan Works Network, and those narratives will help drive home the importance of these legislative priorities. And so our next step is to continue engaging with lawmakers. Our office sits just a few miles away from downtown Lansing and the Lansing Capitol. So we will be very active over the next several months, especially as budget discussions continue on in Lansing between the governor's office and the legislature. You'll see plenty of the Michigan Works Association downtown this year in 2023.
Absolutely, and that's a good thing. How did the members that were out there that day, how did they feel about the day overall?
Overall, everybody felt great. We had some survey results come back post-event, and everyone was very satisfied with the number of meetings they held, the legislative priorities that the Michigan Works Association and our legislative committee put together. They felt very strongly that it presented that one unified voice around common goals and objectives. It lays the foundation for what will, of course, be a very successful 2024 legislative day, but really speaks volumes to our overall efforts around advocacy moving forward.
Well, like you said, it's the beginning of a long road of work, but it looks pretty favorable at this point, and we got to get those people, as you know, back in the workforce. Ryan Hundt, CEO of the Michigan Works Association, thanks so much for joining us. Always a joy to spend time with you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Chris.
We're going to be right back. You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.